Alright, I think I'm live. Let me just check the audio over on the streaming page. Audio over on the streaming page. Okay, sounds good. I've got two screens set up. You'll only be able to see one of the screens, so one of them's got YouTube comments on, so I can respond to them. I really enjoyed that last time with the questions and the interaction. Hope you all did as well. So yeah, let's create a map. Let's do some chasing. It's just a few things to show today, but each of them is just a small incremental improvement. And I think if I can just keep getting these small improvements every day and the occasional large improvement here and there, even within 2 months from now, the game's going to be unrecognizable from where it was. Hopefully I can just keep getting it better and better. So I think let's do a 30-kilometer map, because people probably don't just want to watch the map generator ticking away for ages. So 30 kilometers. So let's see. The car's actually capped at 90 miles an hour, not 100. But 10 minutes edge to edge, that's at full throttle, assuming you never crash. So let's just go ahead, 30 kilometers. I think I did that for the last stream as well. So we'll just generate a map. And also, happy Thanksgiving to everyone who celebrates it. Here in England, it's not a tradition, even though I'm half tempted to make it a thing with my family. I did spend a couple of years in Nevada, and families there were kind enough to invite me along to their Thanksgiving, and it's just a really nice tradition, really. It's just being, I guess, this opportunity to express gratitude for the people and the things you have in your life, for challenges people have overcome. I really liked it. I've only ever celebrated it twice, but hope everybody is having a brilliant Thanksgiving. And yeah, this should be an interesting chase. Something I've noticed that the map solver does is sometimes it just divides the map in half with two parallel roads with a load of cone between it. That's actually going to work well for us because I'm testing the new Vegetation engine out. So as you drive into the cone, it should kind of, not completely, but kind of fold away from the car as you drive through it. So we'll watch that. Hopefully it's working. Tailgate's interactable. Then, like, in the last 2 minutes before the stream, I asked Codex to fix the tornado funnel formation. So, you might have noticed when the tornado funnel's lowering to the ground, it kind of gets like a blunt end to it, like it flattens, and that's not right. It should stay as a point until it gets to the ground. So, I've just asked it to fix the logic. I've just done some lerping incorrectly, but maths was off a bit. So, Codex has fixed that, so hopefully we don't see any blunt tornadoes. Let's generate a map that has some pretty high potential for an interesting stream. So generate that. Because we're trying to get some intercept, I'm going to drop that deviance down to 1 degree per second, because I'll just show, like, let's bang that up to 20 so you can see what you'd be trying to intercept. So if you watch the path here, like, you're not going to get a probe in front of that in time. Like, even if you get in the position, you have no idea if you're in the right place or not. So yeah, needless to say, we're not having the path deviance at 20 degrees per second. I think 1 degree per second should be fine. Just a large highway, I guess. If you're classing the corners the highway. Alright, 1 degree per second. Yeah, we can get rid of that. That tornado looks like it has subvortices. That's something I still need to add to the actual renderer of the tornado. But at least for the damage paths, the subvortice logic is already there. Yeah, this looks like it should be a good chase. So I'll just set max tornadoes to 1, because that's what the game is designed for now. Play. Load in. Hopefully no issues. So one thing you'll notice is that the vegetation, that's how it's just reacting to the wind. Just has a slight sway to it there, so it's not completely static like it used to be. Let's head towards it and see it jumps on. So something I've added to just give it some more light. It also changes the shader so that it simulates like the sunlight like penetrating through the leaves to a certain degree. I forget what the feature is called. It's got a lot of extra stuff so you can change seasons, so that the winter chases for the season. Like snow. But also just like touch react and send wind. So there's all sorts of movement. So the next step is going to be adding wind around to the So as you get closer to the tornado, the vegetation starts to look like it's near settings then. Let's do this. Streamlabs. So what I'll do, audio input capture is already as loud as it can be. I'll turn the desktop audio down. Probably one thing that doesn't help is I'm playing this out my speakers instead of my headphones, so maybe the speakers picking up the game. I just want to check, is that any better? What's going on in vehicle camera. You can tell I'm tired. I did work from home today, so it's not as tiring, but I don't know, it's just something about sitting in the same spot, working on the same thing all day. Kind of gets tiring. Anyway, evenings when my real work begins when I work on this game. A bit better, okay. Yeah, I can't do anything about the audio level. The microphone level, I've already got that as loud as it can go. So I can only notch down the desktop audio. Alright, I've got a cornfield we can drive through in a second. So we're going to the end of this T-junction. I think it's already put a tornado down. It's just beyond the limit of what the camera can render. Go now into the third person view. Yeah, into the camera, there's a wedge out there. So if I drive through the cone and slow down, you'll see that the cone is kind of folding out of the way. I think I did need to tweak the settings a bit. Just so that was a neat feature, kind of reminiscent of the final scene in Twister when they're driving through the cone towards the massive wedge. A bit more difficult to tell in first person view. I think I need to adjust the distance and the strength of the effect somewhat, but at least the vegetation is a bit more dynamic now. It's not just a static, almost image which just sits there. It does react to the player now. Yeah, the vegetation movements need addition. Yeah, I felt like I needed to do that. So for the 2023 release of the game, I think I used Vegetation engine, if I remember rightly. And then that went obsolete. So since I was rebuilding this, I use a new asset called Nature Renderer. But all that does is let you render lots of vegetation without massively slowing down the game. It's like a really efficient way of rendering it. But all it offers is that mass render. It doesn't let you do anything to like react to the player or add wind zones. So that's why I just bought the Vegetation engine, then became the Visual engine, which I just purchased today. I've been experimenting a little bit with. Is the vegetation saving the tornado? No, not yet, but that is kind of like the next thing on the to-do list, because it needs to do that. No, if they don't have that, I did notice in a lot of streams, people would notice that the vegetation, even after the tornado had passed, it would take a long time for the vegetation to settle down. The movement was very unnatural and kind of jumped all over the place. I'm hoping that could be fixed with this new visual engine I've got. 2 years, yes. Yeah, I had a point with the game development where I wanted to try and optimize the map. I started working on multiplayer, realised there was so much with the game which needed to be optimised. I started trying to optimise it, kind of broke the project files, and then I kind of got distracted and started working on a different game, which was that ARPA hack game. So I worked on that just for like 3 months, just I got fixated on it and put it down. And then I learned a lot of stuff about creating user interfaces and different nuances of the Unity editor, and realised like if I want to build the best version of Tornado Research and Rescue, I just need to start from scratch, which is what I'm doing here. So yeah, it's been a bit of a long 2 years, and I apologise for the wait, but like that time had to go past, had to sort some stuff out that was going on, and now I'm in a much better position to build the game. So the vegetation hasn't disappeared. That is a known bug. I don't know what causes it. I may need to upgrade Nature Render as well from the 2022 version to the Unity 6000 version or something like that. Yeah, I'm struggling to catch up with this tornado. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's going into the massive cornfield now. Yeah, I've got a large distance to make it from. Maybe now if we just point the car at it and just drive straight. If you notice, I've removed the branding from the back of this yellow truck. Last thing I need is some kind of lawsuit from some big well-known vehicle manufacturer which may have been getting to this soon. I have a PC now, so I can actually play the 16. Oh, that's good, yeah. This new version is more demanding on the hardware. I know I originally set the goal. Oops. I did originally set the goal for the run on a GTX 1050 like laptop GPU, and then I realised that that's going to massively limit. Oh yeah, so the tailgate's flung open. So let's just fix that. So I've got a laptop now. It's got a mobile. I think it's RDX 4070. So. Yeah, I still don't want it to require absolute top spec hardware, but it's definitely not going to be a game that you can just play on like a work laptop on low settings. Like you'll still need at least a dedicated GPU for it. But is PC now incredibly pretty good? Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for. It's like the game should be playable on most hardware, but if it's something like a how old is that laptop that I used to develop on? If it's something like a 7-8-year-old laptop, it may really struggle. But if you've recently purchased it, it should be more than adequate to run the game on. And one of the things in the to-do list is the performance settings, so that you can dial down things which are causing the game to lag. Surprisingly, the tornadoes, even though it's doing volumetric rendering and full 3D fluid simulation, surprisingly, that's not the heaviest burden on the graphics of the CPU, which I thought it would have been. RTX 5060. Oh, yeah, if you've got RTX 5060, that should be more than adequate for this game. 750 Ti. I'm trying to remember what the hierarchy was, because it got easier once you got to like GTX, because like 1050, 1060, 1070, 1080 and so on, so generally the higher the number. But I can't remember where the 750 fits in, 750 Ti. So yeah, so if I was struggling with the 2023 version, this version might be more difficult. Then again, one thing I didn't understand too well when I did the 2023 version was using compute shaders. So for things like updating where the clouds are and certain like texture computations, like I'd literally have a script in the background which would run and go through like pixel by pixel and updating different things like where the supercell was and what was shown on the radar, which was incredibly inefficient. So this does make a lot more use of compute shaders, which means a lot of it gets offloaded on the GPU and it's actually relatively cheap. So I don't know, maybe this game, after all the optimizations and everything's done, maybe it will be easier on the hardware than the 2023 version, but I'll have to wait and see for that. So at least we're in a position to intercept now. I don't know where all the vegetation's gone. I may need to bite the bullet and buy the updated version of Nature Renderer again. Just these assets aren't cheap, and if I bought one version, it seems a shame to then have to buy another version immediately after it, because it went obsolete with Unit 6 coming out. But if that's what's needed to make the game run well, vegetation render, then I will. It's just a shame that's the way the developer of the asset kind of created the price model. Right, I think we're in front of the tail now. Assuming we need something about intercepting. So if we head north to here, head east, we can set up a intercept spot around here. Assuming we can keep ahead of it. And some VHS effect as well. Now the VHS effect is also pixelated, so it kind of reminds me of PS1. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater days. 3070 now, which yeah. I think as long as you've got a dedicated GPU, it should be a massive help. I do remember trying to set this up on somebody's work laptop, which was pretty much designed for Microsoft Word. And it was really difficult to get it to run, even on low settings. It was really difficult to get it to run smoothly. Let's think about any sound. Right, let's use this white dot as kind of our reference. Let's use the map as well. Kind of extend from there. I think maybe a little bit further east. Just a little bit. But it is closing in on us very quickly. So let's open this. Yeah, so that's now interactable. It's a fun part of deploying. Yeah, it's just catching up quickly. Somebody suggested a palette, by the way, color palette for this map. So I'll test it out after this, and I might go ahead and use that officially in the game. Who posted that again? Game suggestions. So I don't know how to pronounce that. ZE3PZ. Zeeps. Apologies if that's not how the name's meant to be pronounced. Okay, I think I need to think about a skip now. Oh yeah, there's also headlights as well, so we can do this. And skip. Maybe I need to add them to the top 3 headlights there as well. It doesn't light up much in front of you, but it's better than being in complete darkness. I don't think I actually set what data type I'm collecting. Quick, we need to go back and change the data type. So I'm falling behind the chat here. My devils. We make it that the songs like the echoes as well as going from. So, yes, I do want to do that eventually. I'll need to create a 2D fluid solver, just a simplified one. I've made a few fluid solvers before, just out of interest in how they work. Yeah, we're not getting any data. I forgot to turn the probe on. Just about in the outer circulation. Yes, I do want to introduce geckos and randomize where exactly under the cell that it's got. Those are the 2. One idea I've always had but never been able to do because I don't know how to do it. So it's really the entire day of storms at the end of the day. They're back to that random day. Kind of like a time-lapse replay type of thing. Because that's kind of what the preview does with the map. With the preview map before, but it's kind of just a 2D top-down thing. I don't think it's all like a 3D rendering of it. And so it makes it realistic simulating really well. So we have to find the ones. And the trail if we go. So I have been thinking about leaving a trail if you go over the cornfield. One challenge with that though is that I'd have to store a memory somewhere everywhere you've driven, so that. Right, it's just a wind mode. And then you have to remember which tile and where exactly on that tile you're driving. You'd have to use a lot of texture memory. Not all GPUs may have enough to keep track of that. So I do like the idea, which is what I wanted to do originally with this vegetation renderer, but I think, at least for now, it'll just have to react to the immediate vehicle, just the vegetation immediately around the vehicle, not necessarily remember where it's driven through. Yeah, and vehicle damage like BeamNG. Yeah, I think that would, having realistic vehicle damage would be a whole project. So like I said, BeamNG is all about that. And I guess they've got an entire physics team dedicated to just that aspect. Maybe somebody will come out with a Unity asset with kind of a poor man's BeamNG. And I can add that into the game, but I don't think that's something I could really dedicate time to implement myself, because that would be a massive system. I'd have to learn all about 3D models, the internal representation, how you modify them. Don't think I'd necessarily be the best person to implement the damage system. So 75 miles an hour, right in the shadow of it. Let's go. We're getting near the edge of the map now. Let's deploy this in VHS mode. Right, and now we just need to escape. Yeah, so it's a shame the vegetation isn't loading. But I think after this intercept we'll generate a new map, maybe slightly smaller, and start again, just so that we don't have this barren map. I think we can watch the intercept from here. Let's zoom in on the map. Oh, it's got some pretty violent motion going on there, and we're approaching sunset as well. Look at the map, I think we may have got F5. What did it? Yes, we did. 6 F5 so I need to come up with some sort of way of valuing these so that depending on the type and the rating, you'll have some sort of subtotal here, overall total down here showing how much your samples are worth. Will try to eventually blend with the clouds to seem to stand out. Yeah, that's something that's been an ongoing issue. I think this is the closest I've managed, which is kind of have the top sort of fade out and have some shadows applied to it. Because these get simulated at different resolutions, so you've got kind of like a high resolution 3D simulation for the tornado funnel, and then like a low resolution one for the cell. And those are two completely separate simulations, and there's not really an efficient way to communicate between them to blend the volume. So the best thing I can do is use like transparency and lighting tricks to create that blending, but right now that's still tricky. I still think it's better than with, I guess it's more extreme with the VHS effect, it's better than the 2023 version, I think. But yeah, it's always been it's always been something I've struggled to get working in the game. I'm just taking the screenshot for this thumbnail after. I'm 2 subs away from 1,000. Let's see what I'm actually up to. I'm up to 999 subscribers, so thank you everybody who subscribed. I'm 1 sub away from 1,000, so I appreciate that. Yeah, once this rope's out, I'm going to start the chase again. I'm going to close out the game and load it again. What if the tornadoes tape right out top? You can like having like an outward V at the top. There's a few things I could try. Maybe that one case I've been already subbed. Yeah. I think if you're a long-term subscriber, I've noticed the comments going back quite a while. So thank you for the long-term following and the comments and the encouragement on the videos I've been posting over the last several months to years. Oh, I think that's gonna rope out soon. Yeah, let's watch it rope out. Check that the new spawning in logic has been roping out logic, and then we'll do another chase. In wall cloud, yeah, I guess it then pushes the problem up because I could make the tornado blend into a wall cloud, but then I need to figure out how to then blend the wall cloud into the cell above it. There's 1,000. Let's have a check. I'm just refreshing now. I have hit 1,000, so thank you everyone. That's a good milestone. Like I didn't set out for the YouTube channel to gain subscribers. I just, when I was about to start the live stream, it said I had 994. I was like, oh, that's really close to 1,000. That's a nice round number. So yeah, we'll do another special chase after this to celebrate 1,000 subs. There's also a video I want to make as well about the Twister filming locations. and how they relate to some real life tornadoes. So let's say this. So yeah, maybe I can do that as a 1,000 sub special. Oops, fell into the void. Let's just watch the tornadoes roping out as I'd expect. Let me just jump out. I can't jump out because the vehicle isn't launched. Okay, well, if I wasn't planning on restarting the stream, I definitely have to now. One thing I thought there should be... There should be another terrain which stops you falling off the map. I don't think it's big enough for it. Alright, let's restart. Apologies, the stream will drop out for a second. Let me just load it up again. We'll do a slightly smaller map this time. Let me just check it's showing up on the stream alright. Yeah. What's showing is the stream. In my preview of the stream, it's like 5 seconds behind what I'm actually doing. So there's a little bit of a delay there. Okay, let's do 20 kilometers by 20 kilometers. Just in case there's too much in memory and the vegetation wasn't loading in time, we'll generate a new map. Next step. Okay, let's do a similar environment. Let's have some variation in it. Actually, let's do 2.5 to 6,000. So the tornado, so it's not just immediately go up to wedge status and then just sit there. We'll have some variation as it goes across the map. Let's set that to 2 degrees. Preview the chase. So what's that, like F3, F4? Hits this bit, goes F5. It looks like some vortices in there, which are hard to see. Okay, that seems like it'd be a good chase. So let's just give it a second to load the vegetation in. And this time the storm's spawning right on top of us, so let's make sure we just don't get a tornado dropping down on our head. Slow. Right. I've got no idea which direction this is moving. I just need to go somewhere where I have some options. If I go here, I've kind of got some north, east, and west options. Yeah, let's just... if there's a tornado, we'll stop and watch it fall. Lights on. The cell just block out quite a bit of light. Right, let's get that crossover to where the cornfield is. Is there something touching down? No. No. Oh yeah, it's right behind us. The way it's lit up bright like that reminds me of the Andover Turnpike video. I think that's one of my all-time favourite tornado videos, the Andover Turnpike. It's just quite an intense video of him trying to outrun the tornado, realising he can't, getting under the overpass, which you should definitely not do, by the way. And then just when the wind hits and you get that just absolutely insane roar of the tornado. It's a great video. It's got an interstate road type. Oh yeah, that is planned. So the thing is for roads, it's called Easy Roads 3D, and it's got those types. So yeah, I do want to add like an interstate, so you can have like a higher level road which kind of goes over the top of these roads, and then yeah, with the off ramps, yeah, it'll just be another tile type to have to add into the game, and then it'll just work with the existing roads which I've got. Right, how am I going to get in front of this thing? I think we need to beat it around this cornfield. Oh, go through the cornfield. still going to gain a bit of distance though. Let's go north. Look at that thing. It's angry, violent. Head north, then there's this dirt road here. Let's find an intercept spot along here. So if you zoom in, I think the foot of that hill is probably the best deployment spot. I need to remember to choose a data type. So anyone shout a data type, we've got wind, temperature, pressure, or dew point. So say what you think you should use. I think I'm not too far. A free demo. Yes, I do feel like I need to release a demo, especially there's a lot of like Steam Next Fest and things. We might get more players into the game when they know kind of what to expect. So yeah, I definitely do want to create a demo. I'll probably turn this into a demo and probably just limit the map size and maybe set a time limit for how long you can play the game. I need to get out of here. I'm going to just escape. We use Hollywood logic. As long as you don't touch the funnel of the tornado, you're fine. Generate cities and use some algorithm to connect them. Small towns to connect them. Yeah, the way it works is every tile has a probability or weight. So tiles with a heavier weight are more likely to appear. See how we're doing in terms of data. Okay, 4F4 samples for temperature. So for things like cities, depending on how you weight them, you'll get more or fewer city tiles. So you'll get larger, sprawling cities, or you have really small little towns. You said it lower. So those will naturally want to link together and link onto like the main roads, or maybe the smaller towns can link to the dirt roads. So yeah, it depends how it starts. I could add update the logic so that let's just get a screenshot of this. It seeds it with a few cities first, and then starts generating. So like it'll start. So you say, "I'll give me 5 towns of at least 5 seeds for a town." It'll choose 5 random tiles, place a town tile on those, and then build the map outwards from there. I think that's probably how it'll eventually work. I don't know. It sounds like you know what you're talking about. You got the fundamentals of the idea there of having the different types and how you'd connect them. Yeah, that's the thing when it comes to algorithms. An algorithm literally is just a sequence of rules to accomplish something. So there's a lot of leeway in how you actually implement something. So, for example, like one of the classic examples in computer science is an algorithm to sort a list of numbers into order. So there's lots of algorithms which will all sort a list, but how they accomplish that is completely different. So you've got merge sort versus bubble sort versus heap sort. They'll do the same thing but approach it in different ways. So it's the same with generating the map. We want to generate a map with towns, cities, farms, interconnected roads. But the exact rules on how we do that, that's where the experimentation and the creativity come into it. Right, let's go for another intercept. I'm going to cut around these hills here. This is a slower moving tornado, I feel, so we should have some more intercept opportunities than the other one. The one was moving quickly and it spawned really far away, so I had no real way to really get in front of it before it went off the map. Right, we've got another intercept coming up. Right, let's just gain a bit more distance on it. Do the skip Talbot thing. They gain distance first before turning away, which just makes sense. I think it should be intuitive to people to do that, but given El Reno, obviously not. When you're under that much pressure and facing a tornado that is behaving like no other tornado, really, I can't understand how people did get caught out. But when you've got a top-down view and you can easily see the tornado, I think it makes it more clear that you should gain distance before trying to turn away from it at 90 degrees. We'll collect the temperature data. Let's collect some pressure data. Why is this stuck? Need to collect pressure data. Okay, let's get back to the truck. Back to the truck, please. Oh, I think it's just turned north. I'm actually in the path of it now. We've heard some line noise. Let's see. Yeah, I could add some noise to the base of the cell actually. That'd be a quite easy thing. So around here, just add some random noise, just to carve it out a bit more. Actually, is it moving slowly? It's hard to tell. Watching the VHS mode. Made the stream. Oh, nice one. I'm glad you were able to join us. Hungry. So I don't know. In America, do you have, we call them here selection boxes? So it's just a box full of different types of chocolates, Cadbury's ones. I'm so hungry today. I just ate an entire one for breakfast. Incredibly unhealthy, and I wouldn't recommend it. But it was very tasty. Heading the right way, I need to go collect the probe. But yeah, I had that. I've had made some pasta, fried up some bacon bits, carbonara sauce, grilled cheese on top. Just had that an hour ago. I'm just hungry again. In fact, it's the shading. I see what you mean. You've got something really bumpy up against something really smooth. So yeah, that line there is more obvious because you just got such a smooth background, whereas if that was all bobbly as well, yeah, I think I'll have to make a mental note to add that to the Trello board. That would be like a probably 5-10 minute job, experimenting with the degree of noise. There we go. I can see the little icon. I think I need to make that icon go taller and be about 4 or 5 times bigger. Not dragging it all that way. One thing I was thinking of adding as well, so that person who did the video about Dorothy versus Betty from the made-for-TV movie Tornado, I did actually say that I'd consider adding the Betty probe just for them, so I do need to remember to do that as well. Then you can have a choice of probes before you start the game. Right, let's go for another intercept. Just had a donut. Yeah, all this talk of food's making me hungry again. One thing I do like is the place where I work. I'm not going to name my employer, but the place where I work, sometimes we'll have people visit for different reasons, from headquarters, other people who've been subcontracted. When they come and visit, they tend to have catered food, and then all the leftover food goes out in the common area. So sometimes I have like a dinner before dinner. Yeah, I have specialised ones, so yeah, so the Dorothy, or I guess not Dorothy, Toto is big and heavy, but can, let's say, maybe have a faster sampling rate, whereas Betty is smaller and lighter and easier to deploy, maybe sample slower though, some sort of trade-off. Because I guess all good games, the decisions in games should all have trade-offs. Because if you just got an obviously good decision and an obviously bad decision, there's no reason to make one over the other. It's not really a decision. So having different trade-offs, which is why I introduced the upgrade limit in the original version, even though it doesn't seem to be that popular. The idea was that you'd have to choose what to upgrade in each of the categories. Just so you had to choose the trade-offs, and then once you maxed out, you can reset your profile and then start again. That's kind of the idea, but I don't think people... Oh, you see the light coming through the leaves there? It looks somewhat realistic. Look at that! I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, I don't think I'll have upgrade limitations in this version, because I think people, once have gone to the effort of upgrading the profile, don't want to then lose all that progress. Come on. I have to back away from here. So in real life, I was on holiday in Wales this summer, and I was driving our car up a steep hill. It must have been about a 30% gradient. A track that came the other way, so I had to reverse down the hill. But because it was downhill, the car was just picking up speed much faster than I was expecting. And there's this narrow little Welsh road, no lane markings, just mud on either side, and I kept getting too close to the edge of the road, and the wheels were just spinning. It is actually really... You see in movies people like reversing at like 60 miles an hour and just staying perfectly centered and steering exactly where they want. I must have only been going about 20 miles an hour or something in reverse, which doesn't sound fast until you try reversing down a narrow Welsh lane at 20 miles an hour in an SUV. Keeping that thing centered is actually really hard. Let's see. Okay, we've got some 11 pressure samples at 5 strength. Yeah, looks like it hit at 5 strength. Let's go for it again. Heavier probe would maybe gather less velocity data, so it's only some ground speeds, but I like to gather wind. Oh yeah, so that reminds me of another idea I have is to actually have the probes interact with the physics of the tornado. Well, actually, it's quite nice. So I'm going to get some screenshots while I've got the opportunity. So what you'd have to do is you'd have essentially ballast weights which you can add, and you'd have to figure out the right amount of ballast to add to your probe to get it carried in the funnel to get the type of data you want. So if it's too light, just like in Twister, it's going to get thrown away from the funnel, and you're only going to get a few like F1, F2 samples. But if it's too heavy, like you might be able to sample the core, but it's not going to get carried with the funnel. So once the tornado's moved over it, you're not going to get any more samples. Just trying to find that sweet spot of what you want the weight to be. There may be some other parameters as well, like drag and angular drag and things like that. So you've got a few to play with, and then it'll start off with an initial random weight and random amount of each of these variables. So each time you play, it's a new experiment to figure out, and you can randomise each gameplay run. I think this tornado's dying out now. It's hit a pocket of low K. Oh, it's going. See, look, it's moving into it's moving into a high K but low shear environment, which is why it's weakening a bit right now. And one thing I'm thinking of doing is making the Cape and helicity affected by the tornado. So essentially it carves a path through the Cape and helicity as if it's like eating it up. So that energy's getting used up so that the tornado won't follow the exact same path. So by the end of the day, all that energy's used up and the tornado's all weaker, which you'd expect. That energy, it's a potential energy, so that's K, effectively available potential energy. Once it's used up, though, and be converted into whatever energy. Yeah, what does the K, what type of energy does it get converted into? Kinetic energy? Once that's used up, just like in real life, then you need to wait for another day for it to start again. For that instant ability to build again. So good to have something like that in the game. Right. Let's go here. Right. Jump out. Just that up. It's hard, when it's backlit, it's hard to tell how close it's getting. Wind's already 80 miles an hour. Flip down. Good screenshot potential. Yeah, let's. Yeah, just got the edge of the funnel there. It will, since it's moving into such a weak shear environment, it could rope out. I like how that sunset looks. The developer for this asset, for Enviro 3, I think it is, done an excellent job. I can see the probe icon over there. So it looks like in the 90s. I kind of want to convince my children that VHS is actually how everything looked in real life in the 90s. So I hadn't invented high def yet. And everything was just blurry and washed out. In a very cold area with very uninteresting weather. Yeah, sounds like me. I'm based in Newcastle, northeast of England, so yeah, it's very cold and weather's not that interesting. We did have one good thunderstorm this year. I haven't actually edited that video together. I took photos and videos as it approached and the sky was black, and then I got some good lightning shots. I never actually edited it together. I was videoing it. I'd also at the same time ordered something on Uber Eats. That arrived, I ate the food, the storm was over, and then I kind of never got around to editing the video again. It had an Easter egg if you drive into the map. Yeah, like underneath all these terrain tiles just have my face painted underneath every one, so you'll see me glaring at you as you fall to your death. Right, this is about to rope out, so what we'll do, we'll sit and watch it rope out. And then we'll head back that way. Made it all this way. What I want eventually as well is at the end of the game to be able to share like a short text summary along with a screenshot of your chase to share on social media, just to spread word about the game, and I think it'd be a cool thing to see. Where's where they go? Oh, it's minus 50 degrees outside. Oh, sounds. You're based in Canada? Or just very far north in the States, so I'm assuming somewhere in the States. It could be Siberia. I don't actually know where in the world you're based. Share option. Yeah, just like a Facebook thing to say, just intercepted in F5, see if you can do better, collected this sample, it's got this much money. Canada's next door neighbour. Next door neighbour, like Alaska? Yeah, I do remember actually when I was in Nevada, some children had a school project of Christmas in other countries, and one of the other countries was Alaska. It just didn't quite make sense. I think the school system should, at least in America, I'm a Brit, and I know the difference between a country and a state, but that was one of the options. Yeah, so somebody, where's America? Somebody I knew was from Alaska as well. Juneau, I believe it was. Juneau, Alaska. So him transitioning from being used to the Alaskan weather and then into Nevada was a bit of an adjustment for him as well. Right, we need to make it. Which way am I going? I'm going the wrong way. I'm going to go for the edge of the map. I'm trying to go back to the bottom left corner where the cell's going to respawn. See if we can get there before. More left. More left again. One of the biggest cities not very populated. Yeah, I heard. I don't know if this is still the case. How it works is that something like Alaskan oil money, like every Alaskan citizen gets like an annual payout. based on the oil revenue of the state, which is pretty cool. That's something they'd never do in England. Right now, it's all about how much can we tax, how much money can we get from working people. If any of you are following UK politics, the UK budget was just released yesterday, and nobody's really happy about it. Wisconsin tornado season from May to August. Lake effect snowball is yeah. Oh, it's not Alaska. We're here next to Potato Country. Is Potato Country Idaho? What's next to Idaho? It's so close. It's like Utah. I think Montana. North Dakota. I'm trying to do a US map from memory here. Apologies, I don't look at the US map daily. Even though I have been scouring Iowa, looking for some of the filming scenes of Twister. Still can't find that Jonas scene where they crash through the corn. I even got in contact with one of the location scouts who just replied today and sent me his scouting logbook, but still doesn't look like there's anything in there which was used for the scene in the film. Originally, we were going to have the drive-in movie theatre scene built in Iowa, not Oklahoma. It was actually, but that's Potato Idaho. Yeah, I knew somebody actually owned a massive potato farm in Idaho. I won't name them because I don't want anyone. It's not necessarily doxing. Just I think the family names on the brand of potatoes like they might be in the supermarkets in the US. But yeah, it's quite cool. He said sometimes he would be out at Walmart and he'd see his family's potatoes bagged on the shelves there. We've got another cell popping up now, so let's just drive straight at it. In Montana. Ah, okay. So one of my favourite songs is Cold Missouri Waters by James Keelahan. Actually got to meet him in real life back in June. He did a little show here in Newcastle. But that's about the Man Gulch Fire in 1949. Really cool story for people who aren't familiar with the story of the Man Gulch Fire. So this is in the early days of wildland firefighting, and they kind of borrowed the tactics from like the paratroopers from the war, from the Second World War. So they thought, oh well, we can use the same strategies of flying people out, having them parachute down into a location. We could use them to tackle wildfires rather than like to bomb them in the war. So that's what they do. So one day there was a fire at Man Gulch in August of 1949. And the parachute down, the land, I think on some ridge somewhere, and the fire's below them in the valley, so they start hiking down to go and fight the fire. The plan was to hike down, attack the fire from below. The way you fight wildfires is you can't really attack them directly. You have to like cut down trees, dig ditches to kind of remove all the fuel from the fire. So that was the plan. So they're hiking down. As they're hiking down, the fire underwent something called a blow-up, so essentially it bakes the ground ahead of it, and suddenly the wind kind of caught the fire, and the fire just starts raging up this valley straight towards them. So they turn around and start retreating, and then they start to realise that they need to pick up the pace, so they start running. But they're carrying heavy equipment, they've got heavy boots on, they're carrying saws, also the Pulaskis, all sorts of equipment. So then eventually they get told to drop tools and run, and the fire's gaining on them, and the only chance they've really got is making it to the top of this steep ridge, and it's like a 70% grade up that hill, because at the top there's like rocks and things which don't burn, and once the fire reaches the top of a ridge, it tends to burn more slowly down the other side because fire burns more quickly uphill than it does downhill. So anyway, the leader, it's called Wag Dodge, or Dodge Wagner, I forget which way around his name is, realises that they're not actually going to make it to the top of the ridge in time, and they're going to get overtaken by the fire. With about 15 seconds before the fire catches up with them, he realises like it's life and death. He's got to do something now, or him and his whole crew are going to die. So he let's do some temperature data. Actually, let's do wind. So he takes out his matchbook and sets a new fire in front of him, burns off all the grass ahead of him. So he said within the first few seconds, burned 80 yards of grass or something like that. It was very dry grass. Burned it all away. He jumped into the burnt out area of the grass. His other crewmates were like, "What are you doing?" Thinking he's gone insane. They keep trying to outrun the fire. They all get overtaken by the fire. I think 30 of them die. He survives, and two other survive as well. So it's kind of like a story that's took place in West Montana, I believe. In the original edition of the song, it calls it North Montana, and then apparently they don't split the state north-south, it's split east-west, so he re-recorded the song and called it West Montana. But yeah, a bit of firefighting history there. Very impressive story. He actually invented escape fire, and that's now a tactic which wildland crews even use to today. So yeah, sorry, went off on another ADHD-induced ramble. But yeah, he said Montana, he reminded me of that story. It's a cool story. Anybody who doesn't know the story, at least listen to the song. It's called Cold Missouri Waters. Very powerful song, true story. Very incredible story. You're a bit west of the track of that storm at the moment. Yeah, sorry, I've been rambling a bit and not paying attention to what I'm doing. So sorry, right. Let's go pick it up. Add mesocycling into the supercell structure. So I can add supercell structure actually. I've got a lot more control over this cell. One thing that might be tricky is anvils, just because of how far they extend out. So the cell's limited to a cube that I can render within. So I could add a small anvil and have a bit more supercell-like structure. So I can add that. It's just I've got to come up with a mathematical formula and code the supercell shape into game. But once I've figured that out and it's done, then yeah, we can have a bit more realistic supercell. Because right now, it kind of just looks like you're just like a big cumulus cloud. Supercells don't really look like that. Yeah, let's do a better intercept. I'll stop waffling on about firefighting from the 40s in Montana. The tail clouds. Remind me, which is the one which feeds into the wall cloud? Is it the tail clouds which feed into the wall cloud? Because if it's something which I can do around the tornado, yes, I can definitely add tail clouds. We'll just be adding an extra emitter in there and having it kind of pull and spiral towards the center of the tornado. Yeah, tail clouds also want inflow jets as well. Ground level, very big. Tail cloud feeds to the wall cloud. Yeah, so I do need to add wall clouds and tail clouds. Just any extra logic add for rendering is also potentially impacts the performance, but it's definitely on the roadmap. I want more realistic supercell structure. But for now, I'm trying to get the main gameplay elements in, and then I can kind of polish up the visuals a bit more after. But yeah, I do want to add tail cloud into the game. Tail cloud, wall cloud, inflow jets, and I want to add helical vortices as well, multi-vortex structure as well. It's figuring out, essentially it's just a grid of cubes, imagine just like a 3D grid of cubes, and you've got to come up with some sort of algorithm to say, do I draw density here, yes or no, and how much density? And it's got to be randomized so that each chase is unique. This is almost following the same path as the original. I think we need to change this a bit more. But yeah, once I've figured that out and I've got something which looks good, it can then just be used in the game after, but it's come up with that initial inspiration to get something which looks both visually impressive. This tornado is quite intimidating. Are we in the path? I don't think we've got much time to figure that out. Let's just grab this. But yeah, it's difficult to figure out initially, like any sort of creative work. Once you've got the template for doing it, then it's easy to add variations on top of that. And more weather types too. Are you talking like snow? Or are you talking about like rain, hail, dust storms? Because I can add rain and hail and dust already with the weather asset I've got. I just haven't figured out how to make it part of the gameplay mechanics yet, like when exactly would they occur. I am planning on using the cell density to decide on... Actually, was that directed? Oh no, it turned right at the last minute. using cell density to determine how much it rains. So let's step out and just try and get an idea of the scale. I don't think this is quite a mile wide, because it's only a few 10 road widths wide. I think I'm in the path. Reverse. Go to my left shoulder, I can't quite see behind. If I quieten down, you'll actually hear. Should we let it run over us and see what it's like on the inside, listen to the sounds? Sounds good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I got a subscription because obviously everything you use in the game, since I sell this game, it's a commercial game, you have to have the rights for everything. So there's a website where it was a paid monthly subscription, but what it would let you do is search a massive library of sound effects and then license them for specific projects. So that's what I've got the sound effects for on this. Try and find the probe. Where did it go? We're in the vicinity of it. Am I going the right way? No, it's behind me somewhere. Where? Wait, I think I can see some sparkling there in the distance. Yeah, there it is. I was even driving into it at full speed. Come on, get in there. Very close for us. Let's can't bounce on it. Right, go in there. There we go. What we could do is just guarantee some F5 samples by driving through it. You know, I don't... actually, yeah, I think it's active. Yeah, it should be active while it's in there. Let's go get some F5 samples. When will we add towns? Soon! I can't give an exact time frame because I don't know how long it's going to take. I've got some good house assets. What am I... No, I think I'll leave those for now. I was thinking of showing them, but I don't think they're quite ready to show yet. Got some good house assets, but then it's like creating like the neighbourhood and the connecting roads, the designing the tiles, the tile image, and then at some point I'm going to have to figure out how to make those houses break apart. I did get a very expensive real-time damage asset a while back, so I know it's possible to see figure out exactly how to wire all that logic into the game. But yeah, I say soon, maybe the next month or so, but it's hard to give any sort of guarantee. Right, let's just go for it. Let's get some F5 strength winds. So 100 miles an hour right now. 150, 200, 220, 226. Is that F4 or F5 strength? So we're doing 90 miles an hour and it feels like we're barely making any distance on the tornado. It's not so much for when I feel like it, but it's for how long it's going to take me to actually do, because I'll need to model the houses, because it's kind of like a modular house thing, so you like slot the rooms together. Then I've got to figure out how to export them from a modelling scene into the game, make sure all the textures and everything are working, make sure that it's performant and doesn't put too much strain on the hardware, the houses. And so it's about how long it takes me to figure all the logistics, because whenever I add a feature, there's inevitably some small thing which I didn't think of. For example, if a tile isn't loaded because you're not near it, but a tornado goes over it, what do we do about the damage to the houses? So it's easy enough if you're on that tile and the house is there to simulate the physics and the house damage, but what do we do if the tile isn't loaded? Do we just still load a brand new build? And if you're on a tile and the building's damaged and you drive off and drive back on again, how do we remember that the house is damaged to show a damage model next time? It's like a lot of the small little nuances that you don't realise until you come to play a test and you realise, oh wait, that's not quite right. Oh, so something I learned, I think how this works, so this is based off the real life Toto. So this is a no moving parts anemometer. So apparently how it works is the dimensions of that sphere on the bottom. So based on how much, I think it was on like a spring or some sort of lever, some sort of pressure sensor. So not as an air pressure, but the wind would put a force on that. It would push that lever. It would then, based on the force that was pushed on the lever and the size of the sphere, then could know the wind speed. I can't remember who invented that. It was talked about in that tornado video that my Dorothy software suddenly featured in. Oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned this officially, but if you hold the R key, you can actually rotate as well. So if you hold the R key, move the mouse, you can rotate. So all those on the stream, you know that little secret to make it easier to get it into the bed of the truck. But more tornado types. So like elephant trunk, you're talking like shapes of tornadoes, or we're talking like dust devils, land spouts. Because for now, focus is just like supercell based tornadoes. I do want to add variation in the shapes, so get more sort of like elephant trunk, or at least not a perfectly straight up and down shaped tornado. I think we'll go for another intercept here. We'll parallel it here, just like Jonas did. I think once this one goes off the map, I think I'll have to call it a night there, because I'm getting quite tired now. It's 9:20 at night in the UK right now. Multi-vortex. Yeah, I do add multi-vortex. I just need to figure out some formula to describe the shape of a multi-vortex tornado so that we can simulate it with the fluid simulator. Right. In front of it, now we need to turn more right to stay ahead of it. Right. Let's deploy on the other side of this cornfield. If I drive slow enough, you'll be able to see that the corner is actually bending out the way. Right. Oops. Yeah, and rope tornadoes, yeah. So if you make a weak environment, the tornadoes will likely be smaller and you're more likely to see a rope. That's it. Already in the game. So maybe like 80% of the area will get snow. Oh yeah, percentages in weather forecasts. I'm trying to remember what they mean. Is it something like, is it 80% probability that there'll be snow within some radius of your location or something like that? Yeah, no, because when it says like 10% chance of rain, it's not like there's a 10% chance that rain will happen. It's more like the precision of where it is relative to your location, something like that. Don't quote me on that. Just remember there's some nuance to what it means. They want 80% snow, 50% rain, what that actually means. Maybe more storm types, like a mega storm. It's one that swallows the entire map. Let's watch this thing. I don't think we're in the path. Say some famous last words. So, if I actually came up with some sort of way of earning money in the game, this would have been a fairly successful chase. So it looks like VHS enabled. VHS disabled. How big is the max map size? It used to be 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers, but I don't think that would run particularly well, so I've dropped it down to 50 kilometers by 50 kilometers. So it may take you like 20 minutes to generate the map initially, and then you can play on the 50 kilometer by 50 kilometer map. The squalls and hurricanes. Yeah. I'm not sure because kind of the emphasis on this is the chasing the tornadoes. So, I'm distracted by the lighting on this cone. People ask for better lighting on the cone, and I think this demonstrates that quite well. Just take that screenshot. What was that answer? So, I don't think a hurricane would really add much in terms of gameplay. It would just be windy everywhere. You can just drive around and it would be windy. I don't think it would be that engaging. Same with the squall line, like you'd have a line of storms move across the map, but there wouldn't really be anything to chase. So it could be something like an icing on the cake type feature add in the future. But I'm kind of focused on getting all the gameplay elements in right now. It is a possibility for the future, but it's not the primary focus just now. At EF scale, possibly. I kind of like the 90s aesthetic and theme, and I just prefer the Vegeta. When I grew up, everything was Vegeta scale, F scale. I was just used to that. Hearing EF all the time, I'm still not used to it. So I think what we'll do is we'll watch this tornado rope out. I'll turn the headlights off so the lighting doesn't spoil it. We'll watch this rope out, and then I'll have to call it a night. But yeah, I think this update's ready to push, so we should be able to have it shortly after the stream. I'll just need to upload it. I probably won't do a full write-up on Steam. I'll just silently push the update, so you can at least play it, and then I can write a more detailed update on Steam maybe tomorrow. Highs and lows. One thing I'm thinking of doing for the career mode, that's roping out really quickly now that it's hit. It's at the edge of the map. Another screenshot opportunity here. There's a whole kind of setting that came with the VHS camera, the old, definitely not a truck which rhymes with E. The F scale, and the style of the user interface like this is called what was called the Motif UI. It's all kind of 90s themes. So I kind of want to keep the F scale just as a nod to that. One thing I did want to do is in the career mode is rather than you customizing the environment, it'll show you like Monday through Friday, and it'll have 5 different scenarios with different K distributions and helicity distributions. You have to choose which one you're going to go and chase. Like you can only choose one each week, something like that. Yeah, vehicle loft. Yeah, I think we definitely need the we definitely need a way of having the vehicle push around by the tornado. I think. And there was something else I said I was going to do. Oh yeah, noise. So the two, I think, most immediate ones add noise to the bottom of the storm cell, and yeah, vehicle loft. I think we should aim for those for the next update. Yes, I'm absolutely exhausted, and I've got to be up. It's 9:30 at night. I need to be up at about 6:15 tomorrow. So I'm going to call it a night. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining and for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Any suggestions, drop in the Discord how I can improve the stream, make it more engaging, just let me know. I say I'm not a streamer, I'm a game developer, but I'm doing my best to try and do engaging and interesting streams. So thank you everybody for joining. I've hit 1,000 subs, which is an excellent milestone, which I'm happy with. And I'll push this update in the next few minutes, and everybody enjoy. I'm signing off. Good night, and Thanksgiving. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone.